whatever. I hope you all are doing wonderful. My name is Nate Nichols. I'm the creative director and founder of Palette Group. We decided to create this community in this space to um, just share solidarity amongst us creatives that are on, the front lines of the advertising industry. Because we're all feeling a bit of struggle and challenge at the time. And the reason Steffi and I started this, way back when being literally like a month ago, was because we are in a space where we're both very aware, confident, charismatic people and always happy-go-lucky type of people. But very quickly we realized how dark and real this time could be. Steffi, my partner, she's an experiential producer. All of her contracts froze and were on ice. Myself, all of my contracts that I worked and busted my ass off, trying to get all these six-figure deals to create opportunities for freelancers were on ice or cut in half immediately. And so we looked at each other and we were just like, well, we can't do nothing. We have all this energy. We need to do something for our friends that are freelancers, for the people that we love to spend time with and get weird with and create wild, highly imaginative things with. And so yeah, we decided to do this Freelancer CyberX thing. And I'm so happy that you guys are joining us today and you all from all around the world. It's so amazing to see people from Chicago, Hong Kong, BK, Portland, share space. And I just feel grateful to be able to, have technology and for us to be able to connect and sort of savor some sense of humanity and normalcy that we can create together as a unit of creatives and freelancers from across the globe. And so that's sort of why we started it. And some of the big takeaways, I don't know if you guys have came to our first event, but this is our second session, believe it or not. This is our second of many more to come. We don't know where we're going to go with this, how it's going to operate in the future. But, our first summit was a couple weeks ago. We had over 600 people register in a week and a half, and 300 people showed up for the first event, either by stream or by Zoom. And everyone, had a good experience. And it was very refreshing that we had words like, oh my God, it felt really good to hear someone who was a director relearning how to edit and be and become his own DP and to get scrappy and go on Instagram and look for his next client, a gentleman who ran his own production company, and hadn't actually DP'd a project in 10 years. It was amazing to hear a CPA talk and break down the financial relief system. And so we just felt like it felt necessary and good to keep this conversation going and keep being a platform for all you freelancers around the world. And so some of the feedback was good, some of it was critical, and in some areas that we need to improve, and we're excited to share that some of those things we did improve on. So we're going to have a bonus session after this where we'll do a happy hour, and we've created spaces for designers and photographers and filmmakers and producers and project managers to really connect in a very fun, new, innovative way using technology that we're going to share about a little bit more later. But about today. So today is a CyberX session. And so every once in a while, what we're going to do is we're going to hold these experiences solely for our community and a community that we've decided to associate with. And in this case, it's Mathys and Potestio. And, that test is really important to Potestio. Really, really important. I don't know if Steve's in the room, but, Steve put the Potestio and Mathys and Potestio. So thanks if you are in the room, for gracing us with your presence. And so this crew of amazing recruiting, they're a creative staffing agency, and they're out based in Portland. They have offices in Austin, LA, Boise, San Francisco, and they're just amazing, amazing humans. They take a really genuine and authentic approach to the creative staffing process. And so we're going to really, really dig deep into what a recruiter is, what it means to have a recruiter now, and what you should look for in identifying someone that you want to, align with in a creative staffing agency going forward during a pandemic and post-pandemic. So we're going to have some fun. And what I like to do is share quickly a story of my first contract. My first big campaign was a $5 million campaign with Hyundai back when I was 21 in 2012. The Hyundai Veloster, the three-door coupe. Basically, I had in college built a massive portfolio of freelance work, over 300 clients, from print design to website design on WordPress. I was just Harlem shaking through the Philadelphia madness. And I just couldn't stop, getting business, but I had nothing to show for it. I literally was living in a warehouse, 300,000 square foot warehouse on a mattress. I would go to the gym to shower every day, but you couldn't tell me nothing. I was like overzealously excited about life and happy. For whatever reason, it didn't even like occur to me that I was homeless. And so during that time of like gladiator mode, I decided that I still needed help. Like I needed help. Like I was spinning my wheels, doing everything I could to get the next contract. Nothing was adding up on my own in Philadelphia. And someone said something about a recruiting agency, and it piqued my interest. I had no idea how it worked, but I realized that these were people that could connect me to opportunities. That's all I understood. And so what I decided to do was I visited an agency. Rebecca was the woman who helped me at the time. I'll never forget her. And she just said, "What's your superpowers? What are you good at? What are you good at?" And I told her, like, I'm going to art school for graphic design, but what I did was I saw social media was a thing, and I decided to create content for social, and I got good at managing my own social. People started paying me for social media. I do websites, and I've done all these things. Here's my body of work. And she said, "Whoa, okay, kid, let's put you to the test." Within 48 hours, she had an opportunity for me to interview with an agency outside of Philadelphia. And 2 weeks away from graduation, believe it or not, I had 3 rounds of interviews. And my day of graduating, I had my final interview with the senior vice president of this agency. And that interview was the day I walked. And because I went to that recruiting agency, I had my first contract, and I managed the entire social media presence for Hyundai for about 3.5 months. And it really inspired my entire trajectory in the advertising industry from that point. So I am eternally grateful to the mechanism and the facilitators of the idea of recruiters. And so I'm super stoked to be able to have a conversation with some amazing, amazing humans and share what their perspective is with you on how to navigate this pandemic from their perspective. And so, what I'd love to do is invite Sherry and Jordan up to kick off things, and I'll have them actually share their story. So Sherry, if you are here, we'll have you go up first, and then Jordan, you'll be unmuted as well, but try not to make too much noise back there while Sherry's giving her good graces to us all. And then we'll dive into our session. Sorry, actually, Steffi, you can unmute them. Jordan and Sherry, give me one moment. I missed one thing in my opening remarks. It's the agenda. So the agenda for today, we're going to do a Q&A with a fireside chat with Sherry and Jordan. And then from there, we're going to do an open Q&A. The fireside chat will be 20 minutes long. So we'll talk for 20 minutes. You'll be able to have questions that Steffi on the back end will feed up to me to ask Sherry and Jordan. All of the questions that we are going to ask during the 20-minute session are from you, the registrants. So most of your questions have been curated and will be shared today. And then we're going to do a one-on-one breakout session. So this is the time for you to get intimate with potentially someone and be as personal as you'd like. We'll dive more details on the prompts when we get there. And just FYI, there are some Mathys and Potestio recruiters in the room, so you may have the opportunity to connect with them one-on-one. And then after that, as I mentioned earlier, we have a bonus round, CyberX Gathering, where you get to mix and mingle more freely with each other in another virtual room that we'll link back later. And now, I would love to introduce Sherry and Jordan. So Sherry, without further ado, the floor is yours.
Hi guys, super excited to be here. My name is Sherry Gutell. I'm a senior recruiter account manager at the best creative staffing agency ever, Mathys Potestio. We love what we do here. I'm based in LA, my market is LA, but I work with freelancers all over the US. I love you guys. I love your hustle. And I think that the only way that we're going to get through this pandemic is by building a stronger community and working together. And that's really why we're here. We are here to support you and do whatever we can to move forward.
I'm here to get some of that tequila behind you when the time is right.
Oh yes, my tequila bar is behind me, sorry.
The tequila game is crazy. That Azul back there, oh man.
Sherry Tequila is what they call me.
Word. Thank you, Sherry. Jordan, you live?
Yep, I'm here.
Beautiful.
So hi, everybody. My name is Jordan Livingston. I'm also a creative industry recruiter and account manager. I am the division director for our Pacific Northwest region that covers Portland, Seattle, Bend. I actually sit in Boise, Idaho, so I've been practicing social distancing for the better part of a year and a half now. And I also manage our Austin, Texas office as well. Sherry's right. We are the best creative staffing agency around. But, I think more importantly, what we're excited about this seminar is just building community. We had talked with Nate and Steffi last week, and I think that during this time, it's difficult to have the answers. None of us know exactly what the future holds, but community and people having each other's backs and everybody just coming together and supporting one another is really all we have control over right now. So that's why we're excited to be a part of this. So just want to thank Nate and Steffi for including us in all of this.
Of course. And thank you, Hannah, for hooking this up too. Hannah actually reached out from Mathys Potestio. She's waving there. FYI, guys, if you want to see everybody's beautiful face, in the top right-hand corner of your Zoom, you can hit gallery mode, and then you can see everybody's face that's in the entire session with us. And there are a lot of beautiful faces with us today. And so, yes, thank you, Hannah. I saw your little wave for, connecting us and making this happen. And so without further ado, let's get cranking. You ready, Sherry and Jordan?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. So let's start off first. The first question is really just the fundamentals. We'd love to, get your perspective on what is the role of a recruiter, pandemic or not, and how do recruiters get paid in the process? Just to shine some light and some clarity on the entire process of recruiting for creative staffing.
Oh, okay. I'll start. So the role of a recruiter, believe it or not, is not to get you a job. That's really your job. What we do is support you along the way. We meet with you, we give you tips. If, we usually go the extra mile. If your resume looks like shit, we let you know. If your portfolio needs to be updated, we work with you along the way to do that. And our main job really is to connect you with our clients when we have an opportunity. We work for them. So once, we have the opportunity that seems like a good fit, we reach out to our candidates, and then we set you up. We give you interview tips, we prep you, we'll do anything we can along the way to let you know about the client, any tips and tricks. But honestly, it's your job from there. We can't do the interview for you. So it's up to you to really, to kill it once you get there. And, how we get paid is if you get a job. So we will do everything we can for you to be successful and interview well and do your research up until your interview. But once you get there, it's really your job. And I think that's one of the biggest things around recruiting is candidates think that we get them jobs. You really get yourself the jobs. We give you the opportunities.
Beautiful. Jordan, any additional thoughts? Oh, he's muted. Sherry, Jordan, don't mute yourself. This will happen. You will not be able to say anything. We prompted you, Jordan. You can. There you go.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll just kind of echo what Sherry said. I think I always consider my role at its core is in customer service. I'm a customer service professional. I think that it's important for everybody to realize we always have two customers. We work for the clients. But we also work on behalf of the candidate and the talent. And it's an interesting role because we're always somewhere in the middle. We're advocating and facilitating, communication and interviews and resume critiques and all that stuff for our candidates and talent. But Sherry's right. We work for the clients. The clients are the ones that come to us with the job opportunities. So, on the negative side, we're not career counselors. We're not psychologists. We do our best. We play those roles every day. But, without clients coming to us with opportunities, there's not a lot we can do for our talent. So we're also out there hustling in the market. We are always connecting with creative agencies. We're always connecting with in-house marketing departments. Our relationships run very deep with creative directors, marketing directors, art directors, so that when we are building a portfolio of talent and when we're building relationships with creative professionals, we're able to have those opportunities, and we're able to just kind of bring the two together. I think it's also important to understand that at M&P, many of us come from a creative background. I myself had a little bit of a background in copywriting. We've got people on staff who are former designers, project managers, account managers. We try and live up to that as much as we can, because if we understand the pipeline, if we understand how a creative department operates, we're far more equipped to staff those creative pipelines, as opposed to just making it a sales game, which is what a lot of recruiting agencies are, quite frankly. So, anywho.
Got it. So can you give us just spend 10 seconds giving us an idea on the types of projects you've staffed, this past year or two, just so people have an idea of the types of clients that you're working with and projects you're staffing?
Yeah, sure. So without going into a lot of detail, we work with major sportswear companies. We work with global tech companies. We work in healthcare. We work in very well-known streaming service industries. We work in, obviously, a lot of creative agencies. The creative agencies are big for us. Really, any industry that would have a marketing department or that would hire creatives, we work with them. And then, of course, all the brand and ad agencies that support those companies as well.
Cool.
I'll include that the last few months, since the pandemic started, I'm seeing a lot more content roles, whether it's video, writers. So content and video production, I'm starting to see more of, because it's the first type of production that can really happen while people are still at home.
Good to hear. It's good to know. How do you find your candidates?
So we try to take a very proactive as opposed to reactive approach when it comes to acquiring candidates. And what that really means is we are trying to build relationships with talent daily before the jobs come. We have, Hannah does a fantastic job marketing our company. And what this really is meant to do is have candidates register and come to us. In our Portland office, we're probably hearing from 20 to 40 people a week that want to work with us. We build relationships with them. We bring them in. We get to know them. We have coffee when we're allowed to do those things. I'm talking in the past. And, then the idea is we have these friendships and we have these relationships in place. So when the jobs come, we're able to just make these calls quickly. That being said, we can also be reactive when needed, and we put our headhunter hats on and go out and recruit and find talent, when we need to as well. But our model, we strongly prefer to have these relationships in place before the jobs come. Sherry, I'm taking up all the air here, so say something.
No, that's exactly right. We work really hard to build our talent pool and interview our candidates. Previous to all of this stuff, we were known for building relationships and meeting our candidates in person, which is really rare in staffing. But now we're doing tons of video and calls, just getting to know our people in our database so that we're not constantly having to go outside on LinkedIn and network. But we do that too. So many people are out of work right now. I personally, I love posting all of my new jobs on LinkedIn, because right now, so many people are unemployed. So one job post that I write about gets shared 5 times. And by the end of the day, I'm able to connect with more of you guys.
Got it. So Sherry, you touched on this before, but could you, Jordan, I would love to hear your opinion as well. Who the fuck is spending money right now and investing in creative right now? Let's just keep it funky and take it there. What sorts of companies, what verticals, what categories, who's coming to you guys right now during the pandemic and looking for creatives?
Entertainment folks are opening lots of jobs. I thought that I would be seeing one new role every couple of weeks. I'm seeing about 3 to 5 right now, which is a lot. And these are open active roles. Something I will share though, everything's in entertainment. They close quickly. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that it's a typical agency that opens a job and then closes it because they didn't hire. It's a very competitive market. So for you guys as candidates that are looking for work, be active, from 8 to 5 or 9 to 6 or whatever time it is. Really be online. Take it like a real working day, because there are opportunities. We are getting jobs and we're filling them quickly. So just be aware, be alert, and be active.
Yeah, I think I think when it comes to who's hiring and who's spending the money right now, people need to take a look at their own lives. How are you spending time during the pandemic? You know, bike companies in my neck of the woods are two, 300% up, and I don't know, liquor companies, gun companies. It's, I mean, who's spending the money right now? So obviously retail and a lot of things like that are on pause. But software as a service companies are certainly doing well. I think social service companies, some of the nonprofits that we work with, have certainly reached out to us. And then again, outdoor equipment. Like Sherry said, entertainment, the streaming services. You have to kind of look at what your own time, what you're doing with your own time, and then look at those industries because they still need people and they're hiring contractors and freelancers as much as they ever have. So.
Right. So it's like you almost have to look at your body of work as a creative and look at your life now and see where your body of work could actually exist in a challenging time. One of our designer partners, Radcat, who some of you know, some of you don't. When the pandemic hit, he called Andre, the founder, called me freaking out, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lose my biggest contract. And I was like, man, you're smart, just like innovate. And he decided to help his main client to sustain his contract, go from their gym, one of Philadelphia's largest gyms, go from, in club workouts to streaming the workouts. And so he wound up doing the web dev, the designing, and creating the new workflow for streaming of workouts. And then he kept his contract. And so I guess what Jordan and Sherry are trying to say is sort of look at your body of work, look at your previous clients, which of them could potentially be still doing well from a revenue perspective or moderately well, and what sort of ideas could you offer them? What sort of like low lift concepts that wouldn't put your health at risk, wouldn't put their teams, limited budgets or resources at risk that you can afford to do with your own time right now to make a little bit of cash to like get you the nourishment that you need to have livelihood and feel a little bit fulfilled right now. Moving on. So how do you think the post-pandemic market will be looking like, more or less? So do you think it'll be more of like freelancers or full-timers? What does that actually look like from your perspective?
I think as far as my market in LA, we've always been freelance driven. I think we're going to see a lot more freelance and project-based work. Doesn't mean we're not going to see full-time, but no one needs a full-time designer or content or anything right now until they figure it out. So at least for the next 3 months, freelance is where it's at. After that, we'll have to reevaluate and see what the market's like and really what's going on in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think our space is largely in contract employment, and that's a supplement to a lot of true freelance for a lot of designers and creatives. I don't have a crystal ball here, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to continue down that path. I live in a market right now that's quite different from Los Angeles in the sense that most employers have hired full-time staff. The contract and freelance model is less common where I live than it is in larger markets. I'm already hearing from some of my clients that this whole contract thing and this whole temporary employment thing is very appealing to them once we all get out of this. So I think as creative professionals, you're all very used to freelance and contract work. Stay used to it because I think it's going to continue to be the thing for the foreseeable future, for better or for worse.
For sure. Some of our clients, we work with Foot Locker. We have a client in Vancouver, Saks Underwear, and they are, what we're seeing is this trend of these big brands not knowing what to do with their money now because obviously retail is shut down. They can go e-com, but that means their budgets are limited. And so they're sort of kind of figuring out how to try to be strategic during these times. And so during this time, you're not going to get the huge budget, but you'll be able to get a project and a contract and hopefully line yourself up to sustain a relationship post-pandemic. So as Jordan and Sherry just mentioned, hopefully more contracts are, floating around after that as well.
Well, and Nate, I just want to throw this in there as well for everybody. There's a real difference between freelance and contract, at least in our world. Now, the reason a lot of larger employers might be very interested in the contract model, and I guess this is kind of the ugly side of it, is that pay time off and benefits and all that stuff, they're not responsible for. So, bringing on contractors might be appealing to them. We are responsible for it, though. When we place people on contracts, they get the same health and dental offerings that Sherry and I get, and we provide paid time off, and we provide sick leave, and hell, we'll even put people on our 401k plan if they're on contract long enough. So we really jump in and provide those benefits to people when our clients, are using us so that they don't have to. I guess, for lack of a better way to put it.
Got it. Yep, makes sense. I probably have time for one or two more questions. We have to shift gears into open Q&A. So anyone in the chat, if you have specific questions that we did not answer during, the fireside chat period, please do chat your next question or chat questions so we can have them asked during the Q&A. So how do you convince your clients to pay contracts / freelance workers and make sure that's worth the freelancer's time, especially right now? What are your thoughts there?
That's really easy for us to do. You pay talent what talent deserves. Right now, we are not in the market of cutting rates. For all of you freelancers, don't even think about cutting your rates by 50% unless you're at like $300 an hour, then you should consider it. But you have to know your own worth. Oh, sorry, it's for my birthday. You have to know your own worth, and you have to really stick with it. Be flexible. We're seeing rates that are maybe 10, 15, 20% less. However, we will fight for you, but you also have to fight for yourself when the time comes. Our clients aren't going to be cutting rates by 50%. I can promise you that, because it's just not right.
Yeah, I on the candidate side, and that's all of you, I agree. Now, as far as devaluing your trade, I don't think there's ever a time, that you should get involved in that too much. It hurts all of us. It hurts the community. It hurts the design and the creative community if all of a sudden creative and design becomes worth less. Now, as far as convincing our clients, I think this is part of our jobs. As I mentioned earlier, we're always networking and building relationships with the business community. Part of that is letting them know the value of creative and the value of creative professionals and what they're going to cost. Now, the good news is most of the clients that work with us know, they've hired creatives before. They understand, what it costs. But if they don't, look, if we're working with a nonprofit, the nonprofit is going to have less money to spend. And so we're going to have to come to talent and basically say, the rate's lower on this one because of the situation. Are you interested or aren't you? You know what I mean? But rest assured, we do everything we can to make sure that clients know that at least, they need to bring the money as much as they're capable, because creatives deserve to get paid. So
for sure, do not devalue yourself, folks. Last question I have before we shift into Q&A from the community is remote work. How are your clients right now talking remote work? Is it a thing? Are people hesitant? What is the perspective there?
It's a thing because they don't have a choice. Look, I've said this for years. Every year I have clients that are more willing to consider remote employees than they were the previous year. I don't know that it's ever super ideal for certain clients, but I feel very strongly that they're going to have to start getting used to it as maybe being the new reality. Now, I hesitate to talk too much about the new reality because who knows what the future is going to hold. But, look, I work remote. It's a thing. It's just kind of the 21st century way of working. And I think that if one thing this pandemic has done is it's shown industries that it can work. It is possible. If you put the processes and procedures in place, you can have a very productive staff that's working remote. And, there are some industries that are going to struggle a little bit. But I just think that remote is certainly something that is going to be more an option and more on the table for creative professionals than ever before.
And I want to add that it varies by market. So if you're looking for remote work and you're outside of Los Angeles or New York, it's probably going to be less likely because we're oversaturated markets. We have so much talent in our market that clients are less likely to say, oh, send me someone from Arizona or wherever, Ohio, wherever you live. So if you are looking for remote work, strategize a little bit and go for agencies in smaller markets. Don't just go for the big cities.
Yeah, she's right. I moved from Portland to Boise, Idaho about 1.5 years ago. And one of my number one selling tools to my clients is, look, I have a talent pool in Austin, Texas, in Portland, Oregon, in Los Angeles. If you would be open to remote creative talent, I can help you out probably a lot better than I can tapping our relatively small pool of creatives here. So Sherry's absolutely right. If you can look at some of these smaller markets, they need the help, and they can probably use some remote talent from larger cities.
So speaking on remote work, one of the questions from the chat was, is it a good idea for, I don't want to ask that. Will remote work pay rates go up now that it's not just a perk? Will we be able to justify our rates even though it is remote? Is there going to be a challenge there? Are people going to have to haggle and negotiate in that scenario?
I don't think that being remote should change your rate at all. No.
Nah, the work is the work. The deliverables are still the deliverables, and that's what you're getting paid for. So
cool. Are agencies in larger markets talking about utilizing more freelancers coming out of this, per Jordan's point? And are agencies talking summer or probably looking more like fall?
To be completely honest with you, I think the agencies are in a holding pattern and waiting to see what happens. I mean, that's as honest as I can be. I don't know that anyone is quite sure what the next 6 months are going to hold. And so I personally haven't heard of any agency clients say, this is exactly what we plan to happen come fall. I don't think there's anybody in the world that is saying right now, this is exactly what we plan to happen come fall. So I think everybody is in a bit of a holding pattern, just kind of figuring out what summer is going to bring, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had Virtue on our first summit call, and they seem to have a handful of clients projects going, and they're using a handful of creatives, and they have a team just dedicated just for freelancers. So if there is a creative service resource team at an agency, I would recommend hitting them up, because they'll be the person that'll act as the facilitator, as a recruiter for that big agency. So definitely look into that. The only reason I'm asking the questions is because Steffi's computer went down, or she's back. And one of the questions Cooper, from my boy Cooper from Brooklyn, asked, where do photographers and DPs fit into the recruitment world?
Everyone sort of is on the same boat right now. I know it's cliche, but we're in this together. So photographer, designer, copywriter, it's all the same. Photographers, yes, it's more difficult, but just get creative with what you're doing. Don't offer the same service that you've been offering. If that's meeting with families and taking photos, if that's going on set and taking photos, switch it up. You have to get creative right now. Maybe you're just going to be a photo retoucher and you hate that job, but if you can do it, do it. Get creative with your skill set.
Love that. Get gritty. Yeah. This is an awesome question from Voltaire Jr., homie. And he said, when you have 1 to 3 years of experience, how do you pitch yourself as a worthwhile candidate for employment when you don't have the years to show for it? Great question.
That's a good question. I think that, look, the advice I would give to anybody that's at the 1 to 3 year mark is try to find that middle ground between a diverse skill set, yet owning what you're strong at, and that's going to sound like conflicting or contradicting advice, but, to some degree, I always would like to see a junior designer or creative be a little bit diverse. I can do a handful of things and I can do them well. However, there's a huge danger there, because if you're claiming to be okay at, 10 different disciplines, you're probably not good at 10 different disciplines. So I think, at that 1 to 3 year mark is really where you're starting to figure out where your strengths are, where your temperament lies, what am I good at and what do I enjoy doing? And then really zero in on that, really focus in on that, build your portfolio around those 2 to 3 skills, whether they be, production and, retail design, or whether they be UI and UX with a little bit of light development. They also have to be complementing skills. Sometimes you'll get the person that says, well, I'm a copywriter and I'm a, user experience designer. And it's like, no, you're not either one of those things. Pick a couple of things and do them well. And then just go after those jobs and network around and find the agencies and find the companies that are looking for those skill sets, And, it's really all you have control over.
And also,
Yeah,
I just
sorry.
really quickly want to include for our more entry-level candidates that are joining this session, if you only have case studies in your portfolio, do whatever you can to get some real client work. It's challenging to represent candidates that have only done school projects and that's all that's showcased. Even if it's the mom and pop shop that you get your coffee or bagel from, do when you create an asset for them, charge them dirt cheap, but really build your portfolio with real assignments and projects.
Yeah, definitely. And from my agency founder perspective and creative director, whenever I look for, whenever someone junior approaches, it's always beautiful to see that they have a unique style and strength that they're showing, you know, just megaphoning out to the world on their website and their Instagram. Like they've just really leaned all the way in on a specific style and a specific niche of type of creative. So, I'm on the other end of like, I like to work with designers and creatives and DPs who have a very specific style and they own it. And so that's sort of my perspective as the agency founder. And Tanya has a great question. Many hiring managers are younger and looking for peers rather than experience. How much ageism are you seeing in today's hiring?
I'm
Space on that one.
I love my clients so much, and that's the one reason why I can really, if someone is a strong candidate and I present them well and they kill their interview, they don't care how old you are, but you need to have updated portfolios. You need to update your skill set, learn all the new programs. Don't say that you were a graphic designer for 25 years and you don't know how to use Sketch or whatever tool it is. Really invest in yourself so that you're not using ageism as an excuse for not getting a job.
Couldn't agree more. I think ageism it's a thing, and unfortunately it's always going to exist. But to go ahead and mirror what Sherry said, I think it can also become a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, in that if I can use ageism as an excuse to where the agencies or the marketing departments aren't hiring anymore, then I can just use ageism as an excuse without updating my skills or being relevant. Look, if you're going to be a creative professional, that almost by definition requires you to remain relevant and remain updated. Technology changes every day, as do design trends, as do the demographics of people that you're selling to. And if you're not staying on top of that, then you're not staying on top of that, and it's your own fault. And if it's because you got older and you didn't want to stay on top of it, then fine. But it's probably time to go be a teacher.
Word. Next question. From Jeff Berry. Jeff Berry is a collabo at the Avail List. If you guys know what the Avail List is, check it out. How do we get recruiters/agencies to give us a scope of work roughly so we can estimate our rates better? I hate giving a number only to realize I should have asked for more given the level/amount of work required. Very good, tactical question.
That's tough to answer. There's no real answer there. Do your research, be prepared, ask questions. Ask questions before agreeing to a project. Because if you're just excited about something and you say yes and you don't know the details, I can't help you. You're the designer, you're the writer, I'm the recruiter. So work with us together and have these conversations before taking something on.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, we do our best to make sure that the rates per discipline, per experience level are consistent and are fair. But I always encourage my candidates when I'm speaking to them about a job. We don't place anybody into a job unless they interview or speak to the client as well. So to kind of echo what Sherry said, if I reach out to a candidate and say, look, I've got this senior graphic design opportunity, it pays X amount per hour, I think you're going to be a good fit for it. And then they start asking very tactical, very in the weeds questions. I'll do my best, but I'll also say, look, I think these are really good questions for the client because I need to make sure that you are both on the same page as well, so that you can then take a step back and decide, is this the right project for me at the rate that Jordan has put it in front of me at? Because, the rate probably is what it is, whether you think it's worth it or not after you've talked to the client. So let's make sure we all get on the same page before you jump in.
Beautiful. We have time for one more question. And since M&P is the official creative recruiting agency for the Freelancer CyberX community, what's the appropriate amount of time to check in with y'all folks?
I say once a month. You can check in more, but I have people that check in every week. Is it annoying? Yes. But I'm still going to answer you. But if you want to be courteous of our time, once a month.
Yeah, I don't have a set number on how many times you should be reaching out. Sherry and I and every single person that works at our agency never leave an email or a phone call unresponded to. We just don't. It's the way we roll. It's how we sort of brand ourselves differently from the very sales and numbers driven recruiting agencies. We're very relationship based. We will get back to everybody. As professionals in any discipline, we're always sort of faced with, how do I remain persistent and ambitious without being super annoying? And there is a middle ground there. I would just use your best judgment. I mean, I think that if you're involved in something with a recruiter, if the recruiter has you in front of a job, if there's a project that you're working on, check in every day to see how it's going with that particular project. If not, every few weeks, every month, something that's appropriate. If you're the person that's reaching out every other day and we don't have you in front of a job, you might start to brand yourself a little strangely.
And also send us new projects. Don't just check in to ask for work. Give us an update. Maybe you worked on a new client. Maybe you have something new to share. Yes. Let us know.
Yeah.
Yep. I would recommend that too with any agency you freelanced with. Anybody that has helped or supported you to get a project or client, check in with them. Show them your new work, but also just check in with them as a human being, because everyone needs just a human being check-in right now during this pandemic. You will never know where that one just genuine conversation can lead you.
Yeah, and I want to be real careful on this, Nate, as well, because I do think it's important that we don't define checking in with a recruiter as a negative thing at all. I really want to be careful there, because I've said to people, I said this in an email just yesterday to a candidate, please continue to check in with me. I don't have anything for you right now. I'm so happy that you reached out. Please continue to reach out, because, we have thousands and thousands of candidates in our portfolio. We do need to hear from you. However, kind of, find the middle ground though. That's all.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, we have wrapped our time with you, Sherry and Jordan.